So, it's official, Sonic 3 has won Christmas. Or at least, that's what I would have said a couple weeks ago, during actual Christmas. I personally had a bit of bad luck where I was away for Christmas and New Year's and had very low internet, so I've kind of been on an accidental hiatus during that time. But generally, we all saw it coming, the industry somehow didn't see it coming, and now it's a reality. Mostly. Because you see, back when I was intending to actually make this video, I could say that Sonic 3 has not only outgrossed Mufasa the Lion King at the US box office, but it has almost doubled it. At the time, it had reached a franchise best of over $62 million, an incredible achievement for this kind of franchise. Meanwhile, Mufasa the Lion King has only managed a disastrous $35 million. For reference, the first one opened with $191 million. So yeah, in the sequel, we've gone from 191 to 35. It is not a good time to be an uncanny photorealistic lion, but it's a great time to be a cartoony CGI hedgehog, it seems. To have stuck with this franchise from that initial horror show character design to the studio listening to them and fixing it, to seeing each installment become increasingly more successful whilst clearly making the movies for you, to now seeing it take down a frontline Disney movie, it's been a truly rewarding journey. And it isn't a straightforward Disney failed story here either, though they aren't blameless here. It's also a story of Paramount absolutely knocking it out of the park at a time where you'd understand why they may have struggled. I've lost track of where the company's at now, but let's just say the corporate level drama has been a total mess on the Paramount front. The guys up the mountain needed a hit, and while Sonic can't give them their Top Gun Maverick numbers, they could still bring some much needed success. Sonic is what happens when you gradually grow and nurture a franchise, the extra money the first one cost to redo the design notwithstanding. Even if that rework initially lost the money, look how it paid off with them now with 3 successful movies. Imagine if Ugly Sonic happened at the current heads of Warner Brothers. We would have never gotten here because he would have been dragged into the tax write-offs. Sometimes, in order to make the big bucks, you need to risk some losses, and that's exactly what Paramount did. And you can make an argument that it's a symbiotic relationship in that it very well could be a reality that Paramount saved Sonic in the other way round. Never before has Sonic been more relevant and accessible to a general audience, and the games, they've been flubbing for a few years now. Sonic Frontiers was good and all, but it's a franchise that's emblematic for its failings in a lot of places, despite being such an iconic brand, and this kind of revisit, as much as I hate the fart jokes in it, very well could be a new breath of fresh air that the Sonic franchise really needed, and Paramount can absolutely capitalize on. Meanwhile, Disney spent about $300 million on a prequel that no one really wanted. Whilst most of us here were ultimately unimpressed with the 2019 Lion King, there's no doubt it was successful. Until Inside Out 2, it was the highest grossing movie of all time. Still baffling that people won't accept that it's animated, by the way. I guess that's one compliment for the movie. However, just because a faithful remake of the original can do that, doesn't mean that a prequel with new music that, by the way, barely featured in any of the marketing, could do the same. Why do marketing departments hate musicals? What? It's Disney! It was a one-and-done success that wasn't asking to be revisited. Unfortunately, that is simply not the Disney way. And here they are now with egg on their face. Which should really be sending a message: it is time to stop the remakes. Okay, this one technically is its own thing, sure, but it evidently still stems from the same illness. I know they're filming the Moana one already, which, from the set photos of The Rock, looks really stupid already, and because that wasn't enough, of course, they've also announced a Tangled one, because now they're just fully cracking out the 2010 catalog. They've soiled so many of their classics now that they're resorting to movies that aren't even 15 years old now. But not to worry, because they've also balanced it out with an awful-looking redo of their first ever movie as well. I'm sure Walt Disney would be delighted to see his industry-changing achievement done with uncanny CGI dwarfs, sure. We really don't need more remakes, just stop after these last 3 that are already in production, and Hercules, I guess, is also coming around at some point. I don't want to see you pump out 5 Frozen movies just so then you can have 5 more live-action remakes to tuck into. Not only are we all sick of it, but the box office is starting to reflect that too. A couple years back, The Little Mermaid did ultimately make money, but it was nowhere near the heights of the remake era. when you had Beauty and the Beast and Lion King heading over the billion-dollar wall. Ironically, movies that are making $1 billion right now is the Sonic franchise in total. They've just passed that benchmark now that we're in the new year at the time I'm recording this, but I'll give you more timeline updates in a bit. But back to the Disney front, though clearly quality isn't something you're worried about, even you can't ignore just how bad some of this stuff has been. That Disney Plus Pinocchio should have really just stopped everything there. It doesn't work anymore, and you just need to try something new. Listen to the fans. Learn from the franchise that has actively taken on that advice. When you listen to the fans and don't overspend, you can have a successful movie series. You spend all this money on CG lions and most people aren't taken with the look anyway. They're instead flocking to the bright blue hedgehog with his huge cartoon accurate eyes with 2 irises in 1 eyeball. I really hope they learn from this because a company like Disney has the resources to go into much more interesting directions creatively. Resources that clearly they just aren't willing to use. Imagine if they adapted a fairy tale they hadn't done before in live action, or, bizarre idea, created a completely original concept. I get it, they've done both of those before to some extent and it hasn't worked out, but it's not always gonna work out on the first go. Again, the first Sonic movie, they even lost Paramount money, but they played the long game and look where they are now. Sonic 4 has already been announced for 2027, and I, for one, can't wait. I can't say that these Sonic movies are the best, in my personal opinion, but what they do deliver is a fun time at the movie theater and entertainment. It's solid entertainment for the Christmas season, and they understood that when putting it in this key slot. Even if Mufasa was great, I also just don't know if this was the right slot for it. The movie it's following on from was a massive summer hit. I just don't see if Christmas was really the place for it. Also, is it just me, or would this movie have been more appealing if they've done it in the universe of the original Lion King? Like bringing back traditional animation and doing the movie like that? I would have loved to have seen that. After completely soiling the company's 100th anniversary with Wish last year, it's a shame to see the 30th anniversary of Lion King suffer a similar fate. But alas, that's not the end of the news. That would be the perfect, Sonic beat Mufasa type story I could tell you back in the Christmas season, but there's a little bit more to it now, because when looking up articles of the actual box office success of both of these movies, so many articles are now saying Mufasa won this year, 2025, whoa! And it's all on a weird technicality. Basically, in the first weekend of 2025, Mufasa is ahead of Sonic, as if to insinuate Mufasa has been a slow burner, and Sonic had a much bigger opening. It still did, the numbers are still bigger. Sonic's total box office, or at least the latest figure I can find at the time of recording this, is $187.5 million. Meanwhile, Mufasa sits at $168.6 million. Bigger number, bigger success. Right? But alas, because it's slightly faster this time in this, third weekend of the movies coming out, now apparently Mufasa's on top. Let's check out a Mufasa #1 trailer, Disney. Woohoo, yeah, let's pat ourselves on the back and not learn a single lesson. On top of that, the actual budgets of these two movies are massively different. With Mufasa sitting at about $200 million to make, that insinuates that so far the profits aren't even there yet. 168 million made, 200 to make. That's a negative number, not even probably including the marketing. And then you come round to the Sonic movie, that one cost $122 million. But on top of 187, what do you know? That's a profit. That is success. Now, this could be emblematic of all of Disney's failings, including the Pixar side of things, where their budgets are way oversized for what actual success turns around to be. But I get a weird, icky feeling when I'm like, I'm gonna make that video that I was meant to make a couple weeks back about Mufasa beating Sonic, let's look at the news, and then I see practical misinformation. Yes, Mufasa is doing better this weekend, but it's weekend 3. That doesn't make it #1 beating Sonic, woohoo, let's celebrate, everyone that's not Disney is trash. It's just a weird way to play around with statistics. But I will admit, it does show a closing of the gap. It's not that Sonic has doubled the success of Mufasa, just the box office opening was the best. And to be fair, I kinda get it. Everyone was more hyped for Sonic, but time has passed. We can find time to watch Mufasa afterwards as well. Sure. When it comes to the actual quality of these two movies, I still think Sonic is a no-brainer, as much as I've got my cynicisms that are apparently a little bit more controversial than I realized. But otherwise, in coming into the new year, these two movies clashed, and it's basically exactly how we expected, with a few weird talking points from the media. Whatever the case, it was an entertaining Christmas season to wrap off the end of 2024. So let's move on to all the many things that'll be coming out in 2025, and I'll certainly keep up with it too. For now, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. My internet's back, I'm at home, so prepare for probably mostly daily episodes for the rest of the year. I'm addicted to this stuff now. And I shall see you all in a little bit.